and get on board this union. We are on the flag. But today, you cannot truthfully say that we are in the country. We do not enjoy the same protections of constitutional rights others do. In the state of New York, you can be imprisoned for a felony for owning firearms, for example, that are completely legal in the majority of states. When a constitutional right is so unevenly applied across the republic, how can we say that we are fellow citizens? How can we say that we enjoy the protection either of the Second Amendment or of the 14th, which promises us equal protection? We're getting screwed. We're being oppressed. You know that? That's why you're here today. Got a couple quotes from a fellow you might recognize named Martin Luther King Jr. He believed in some things. He was locked up for them. And he wrote a letter once from jail. He said, and I think this is a message that should go to our neighbors who are not here, who do not particularly care about their Second Amendment rights. He said from the Birmingham jail, "An injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." And what was so Amen. What was so cavalierly done to the Second Amendment in the dark of the night by those dogs in Albany might well, certainly will be done against other rights in the dark of future nights by similar dogs. The attack against freedom is an attack on all freedom, and wise people remember that. In that same letter, Martin Luther King wrote, "We know through painful experience that freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed." That's us. That's why we're here today. I'd like to see if I could, a show of hands of those of you who have served in the armed forces of the United States of America. Look at that. In the state of New York, something like 4% of the people are veterans. In this crowd, something more than half the people are veterans. There's a lesson there. I'd like to, if I could, read to you some of the words that each one of you who raised your arm a moment ago swore before a flag of the United States when you were enlisted or commissioned in the armed forces. You said "I," and then you said your name. "I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same." The same in that usage is the Constitution. "I will defend it against all enemies, and I will bear true faith and allegiance to it." True faith to the Constitution means recognizing that that is the supreme law of the land, and after the law of God in your heart, it is the supreme law in your life. And those who would pass ordinances, statutes, and laws contrary to it can be damned. I want to, I'd like to extend an opportunity to those of you who did not raise your hand. I, of course, can't enlist you in the armed forces, but those words I just read, you can, in front of this flag, with your arm raised to the square, swear yourselves, if you so choose.